So today we're going to go over some statistical concepts. And so we're going to start with what data, what data is, what, because everything you do in statistics revolves around data. So what is data, right? So what is data? Well, data is a lot of things, but it is a collection of facts, measurements, observations, or it could be description of things. Description things. And so there are two types of data. One would be qualitative. And another is quantitative. And so the qualitative data is descriptive, which means you're just describing stuff, describing stuff. And the other is numerical. Think numbers, like 1, 2, 3, dot, dot, dot. So the easiest way to do this is to, draw a little tree, right? So if it's qualitative, it's going to describe something. So you could say, this is awesome. If you're quantitative, things get a little more granular. One second. Qualitative, which is discrete, and continuous. Usually you're going to be more on the quantitative side. Now when we start getting into qualitative, you're dealing with psychometric variables, variables, and those you'll have to translate from qualitative to quantitative, and this is a lot harder to do. But anyways, going back, so qualitative, you have discrete, which is just whole numbers, right? So 5, 4, 3, 10, 20. Or continuous. Continuous means never ending, so you're going to have a 3, and that, so it's going to be like this, 6. And then eventually you're going to like truncate it, so you might have went ahead and just truncated it off there. but basically the numbers keep just going, right? They just keep going. And you must remember with continuous, you're going to be looking at values within a range, a particular range, or here, which is just whole numbers if you're discrete. So that's a big difference: whole numbers and then range. So keeping with the theme of qualitative and quantitative, so one thing I saw that really helped me was this little, I think it's a mnemonic device, whatever you want to call it. So quantitative is quantity. So you have quant and quant. So numbers, right? Numbers. So again, when you think of qualitative, you just think about the quality, right? The description. So quality, the description. So, you know, the smell of flowers in the morning, right? Holidays, holiday destinations. The colors of floral dresses, right? And then when you go to quantitative, you look at height, weight, wheels on a bike, teeth, right? So these are discrete, right? The wheels on a bike. So if it's a bike, right, bicycle, so you have 2 teeth. I don't know, within this range, right? Within this range, you either have 24 to 32, depending on how many you keep and or how many you lose. Height is continuous, right? Because some people are 5'11", some people are 6, some people are 6'1", dot dot dot. Weight, same thing, 128.32, right? 110.46. So 42. So right, it can just keep extending. And so now, when we're talking about data, we're also going to figure out, well, how do we collect the data? Well, you can do it by observation, and then now, so this is okay for beginners, but if you're doing research at at a high level, like a PhD scientific level, this is the worst. It's the worst method to use because it's full of flaws. Well, why is it full of flaws? Well, let's just say you're observing cars, right? You have a 10-minute interval, and you're observing cars. So how are you going to control for, and this is getting a bit more advanced, which I didn't want to do, but how are you going to control for various factors, right? Time of day, holidays, construction, maybe there was a traffic jam. It's the time of day, the actual day of the week, So many things you have to control for. So you might not get an accurate sample of what you're doing. All right, but this is just good for basic start if you're trying to go, find something, right, to create knowledge. But the easiest method, one of the methods, is to do a survey, and that in and of itself, right, is a very complicated process, because you're going to have to account for your sample. And again, this is getting way too advanced early on. I did not want to do this, but it sort of lent itself to take into account your sample, the population you're trying to use. Are the questions free from errors and biases? Oh, then if it has a bias, how do you control? And so, a lot of people will mention the census and polls, but these are not rigorously tested and implemented well. Because again, the census doesn't really take into account what it's actually measuring, and the questions are very open to interpretation a lot of the times. And then the polls, you'll notice that in the polls, like if you have, we'll do Clinton, Trump, right? They'll say that Clinton's like plus or minus 5. This one is plus or minus 6. Well, these ranges of errors are within each other, so that's why the polls really aren't reliable, because once these ranges intersect, it's really a crapshoot. But anyways, I hope this helps. And see you for the next lesson.